What is going on? It is Daniel with Cuervo ATV, and today we are talking about horsepower gains from boring a throttle body, specifically our throttle body, and how we do these. So we've been doing these bored throttle bodies for quite a long time, using the same machinists to do them with extremely good results, consistency, and being trouble-free for quite a long time. So what I haven't done though is shown many results from back-to-back tests because it's kind of uncommon to do just a throttle body swap on a motor that is built. So that is what we ran across today, kind of by accident. Is I finished everything up, did some polls, the numbers were a little low, and I thought to myself, I forgot to do the throttle body, forgot to put it on. So we swapped it right on the dyno, got it done, making some great horsepower gains. So on a big 3 bike, you're going to gain about 1.5 horses. On a big 3 bike with a cam in it, you're going to gain 2 or so. But as we go up, the more power you make or are trying to make on a factory throttle body, so you get into a ported head, a crank, something of that sort, now we are talking about more restriction through this throttle body. So here is a factory throttle body. You turn this plate. That is how the inlet side looks. That is the head side. Now this throttle body does have a bit of a taper to the portion where the center is machined there. So the factory plate closes properly. On our throttle body, we do a taper bore as well. You can kind of see the light hit it there. So tapered inlet works perfectly well with the diameter and setup of your FCI intake is what I recommend for intake. So that works perfectly there. Now when you're measuring throttle bodies, we're going to measure the bore size at the plate. And I've seen some people measure them here, and that doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but that's not what we're ultimately after, because you can overbore this very thin. We want to leave some margin so there's enough strength there to not collapse that or have any concern with it. The main focus is improving the diameter through. So you see on this one where you see just the heads of the screws, and on this one where you see the shaft, see the screws and the shaft there. Well, that's because we cut down the shaft to gain some more airflow throughout. So as you see there, you have very little impedance to airflow versus the factory setup. You have a very thick shaft, as well as the plate. Enter your jokes there on that one. So throttle shaft is cut down, a lot thinner plate, which makes this flow excellent. And that's another reason why we don't cater toward or do the 50 millimeters, is this is extremely efficient in a factory fit and finish configuration. You maintain your idle air control. Everything fits and looks like stock while gaining a bunch of power. Now on to power. So we have a build here that made 67.8 on the OEM throttle body, and we picked up a little over 4 horsepower going to the bored throttle body. But what else we picked up is that's the peak number. Factory peak was here on the OEM throttle body. But in this area, that's showing 7 horsepower gain and that 7,000 RPM. So we're seeing gains everywhere. As you see, the gains increase over RPM. Up top here is where the particular exhaust system on this build started choking it out, as well as the intake. But we see a solid 4+ gain through all of that RPM range. So on a build that's over 70 horsepower, potentially, that's what we're looking at. Solid 4 horsepower gain on a part that is easy to change and not very expensive. So hit us up on these. We keep them in stock. There is a few different variations on these depending on year. So some stuff does change there. But we keep them in stock and we do a core exchange on them. So we can ship you a part that is already ready to go so you don't have any downtime, any concerns there. And we do an extremely well and consistent and great performing option on these. A lot of guys out there are doing them cheap and they end up ruining the throttle bodies. You end up having to buy a whole new one. So don't do that. We got a quality part there. Hit us up. And there you have it. Let's make some horsepower. We'll talk to you on the next one.